Hey everyone, Keenan Gray here from DyeStat.com, bringing you another edition of DyeStat Discussions. It's a special one. It is our 1200th episode, and of course, we brought out the big guns for this one. Head coach of the BYU women, entering her 10th season, a decade she's been in Provo. Diljeet Taylor joins us on the program. Really appreciate your time, Coach. 10 years. Has
Yeah.
it flown by quickly ever since you touched down in Provo 10 years ago?
Yeah, I feel like there's moments and seasons that have flown by and then others that I feel like maybe took a little bit longer, but it's been a fun ride and just have had some highs, some lows and a lot of in between. So have really enjoyed being in this position with these women.
And of course, a lot of you have accomplished. As I said, 10 years you've been there. You've been named the Women's Cross Country Coach of the Year twice. Of course, last year when you guys won the national title, a two-time Big 12 Coach of the Year, and then multiple WCC Coach of the Year. Which, being a Gonzaga alum, it's bitter to me, but you know what? That's okay. And also a three-time Mountain Region Women's Coach of the Year. I mean, when you look back when you took at this job back in 2016, coming from what I believe was a Division II program you were a part of to the Division One ranks. I mean, that's a big step. Did you imagine you'd be in the position you're in right now?
I, it's hard to imagine where your career or the trajectory of your career, where it's going to go. And I've had really great opportunities that have afforded me these accolades. Really, that's what it is having the ability to work with these really incredible women. And the original kind of challenge coming to BYU was let's see what we can do at the biggest stage. And immediately in that first season, we get a top 10 finish. And I think that first 2016 season at BYU has really set the foundation for what we've been able to accomplish because those women believed. I feel really strongly that the women after them have also believed. And no, I don't, I never imagined myself having these opportunities or these doors being opened, but I'm super grateful that they have. And I think the world has gotten bigger for me in the sense of from a coaching standpoint, just the platform keeps getting larger. And I hope with this success, the inspiration that other young women in coaching get and other women in the sport, I really hope to be inspirational to the future of the sport. That's more important to me now than the accolades. So I didn't know that I would ever have that type of impact on the sport in general. I really just wanted to coach because I love the sport and have a big passion for it. But it's become so much bigger than that now, which I'm super grateful for.
2016, you have your first, pre-training camp for your cross country team. 10 years later versus now, you're in Park City right now with your women. Do you see a difference? Does it still feel like, oh, this feels like the first day of school for me still? It's the same feeling.
There are camps that you come to as a coach and it feels like a brand new year. And then there's camps that you come to and it's just the same women, but entering a new, era of their running or of their career. This year seems very new. It seems very similar to that 2016 season where there's a lot of unknowns and a lot of young women. Our highest age, we found out last night, is 22 and we've never had a team this young before. So I have a huge freshman class that I'm really excited to get to work with and get to learn about their strengths and weaknesses. And so, yeah, for me, it feels a lot more similar to 2016 than last year. Last year was a lot of the same women, and we were just trying to build on the previous year's success or failures. Actually, 2023 was not the best ending, and so we got to kind of fix that last year in 2024. But this is a new beginning. I would, if I had to label this era of my career with this group of women, it's new beginnings.
Well, we can dive deeper into this year's particular group and what they'll bring to the table. But I want to talk about the last year as a whole. I mean, not even just cross country, but indoor track, outdoor track. To me, just looking at the stats, and I'm a huge stats nerd, so I'm going to start reading off some things. In cross country, you guys won your program's sixth title, the second under your tenure. Three All Americans from the cross country season, won an eighth Mountain Regional title and a second consecutive Big 12 conference title in cross. Then in indoor track, 11 All-American honors, including first team honors. There were six of them. Then a collegiate record in the DMR. And then seven school records, which I believe might be the most ever in one single season. by individuals in BYU history. And in the outdoor scene, 10 All-Americans, 3 were first team, 7 school records, just like the indoor season. I mean, words can't really describe what you guys all accomplished in one single calendar year. I think that's the best way really to kind of describe it. What was your initial takeaway as I read you those stats?
Well, I didn't keep track of any of those stats, so some of that is new information, and it sounds great. I'm sure it looks great on paper, but as good as it looks on paper, what it was, the feeling in real life, it was absolutely magical. And it's not really what they accomplished, it's kind of who they became as they were accomplishing these big things. And to have a front row seat as a coach to watch where these women came from as freshmen in the program to where they ended was delightful. I mean, it was such a privilege. All last year was such a privilege. And some of the things that you're seeing are, race finishes and national finishes and all-American honors and school records going down. And what you miss when you see what's on paper is the chemistry was off the charts for this group of women. The amount of love that they had for each other grew tremendously. And what they want to give back to the sport was really kind of the key takeaways from the entire year. But then also these women found a way to realize that this is not what their self-worth is reliant upon. This sport is not, their confidence doesn't come from outcomes. It comes from who they really are and who they want to become. And that for me is bigger than any win or any national championship or any school record. So it started in 2024 in the summer at the Stade de France, right? I'm there with 2 Olympians that were BYU alum, and we kind of rode that momentum all the way through this summer. So I say this often, but I don't think there will be another year that tops what 2024, 2025 was for us in our program.
That was what I was going to mention about, with Courtney and Whitney being in Paris for the Olympics. I got to imagine, like, in the case for like Lexi Holiday Lowry, who's now going to be racing in Tokyo here in a couple weeks, like that was probably her goal in the mindset. It's like, this is the standard. I mean, these women have been through this program. They know what it takes to run at the highest level. Like they're seeing the women in the BYU program are now seeing what the standard is for the post collegiate stuff.
Very inspiring. And I'm a big believer. I say it often, you have to see her to be her. And oftentimes we can see her, but now you're seeing her in your own backyard. You're seeing her on your own track. Pave the way, do these incredible things, and we can ride the coattails of that. And that's the beauty of the sport, is being able to inspire the next generation. And the times that we saw this year, God, I don't really know, Keenan, where those came from. I mean, it's not like we set out to say, hey, these are the goals that we're trying to hit from an outcome perspective. It was just really, let's see how good we can be. And it was detachment to the outcome and really focus on the process. And it yielded some beautiful results for us. But most importantly, yeah, these 18-year-olds that are now coming into this program, they're seeing people in their locker room. They're seeing women on their track in the weight room doing things that they hope to do one day. And that's bigger than sport. So I'm really proud that we've built that here in Provo, and really excited to continue to build on that.
Well, it's not even just the culture in Provo, I mean, both on the men's and women's side in BYU. I mean, the steeplechase obviously is a really big deal, it seems like, in Provo, but like United States distance running as a whole, the NCAA system. I remember talking to the Alabama coach this last spring and asking about Doris, and it's like, athletes like that have really, pushed the standard. If Doris doesn't run sub 9, what does Lexi run at the national championships? Like, does Lexi, run one of the fastest times of all time in U.S. history if it's not because of athletes like Doris or the elevation of U.S. distance running?
Yeah, what's happening in the NCAA, and people have very different opinions about this. So I will share mine. It has set a standard that is requiring all of us to level up. To be an All-American now looks very different than 10 years ago. But what that does on the back end is it changes the gap that exists between the college world and the pro world. So now you're seeing that transition happen way more seamlessly because we have women like that in the NCAA, women that are already ready to be on the global stage. It is making it easier for our women who have post-collegiate aspirations to close that gap and to know that they belong and to build confidence in times that have never been run in the NCAA before, but it prepares them for that next step. So stepping up to a Diamond League start line or stepping up to the World Championship start line feels less intimidating because you're already been in races that have mimicked global finishes. So that I think it's great for what it's doing for sport.
So looking back in 2024 for that cross country team, you mentioned 2023, not a great finish in Charlottesville. Everybody probably wanted to forget about it, move on from that. What did you guys, before going into 2024, what did you leave Charlottesville with some sort of message? Just like, all right, let's keep our heads up. We know we're going to have tons of these women back. Like things are going to get better. We're just going to have to learn from it.
Yeah, since that November 2023, our motto, we've kind of embraced the symbol of the butterfly. My message to them was just when the caterpillar thinks the world is ending, she becomes a butterfly. And so 2024 indoor for us was really successful. We had some great performances, some great breakthroughs. DMR wins the national championship. We've got a ton of All-Americans. Megan Hunter finishes third, Lexi Halliday fourth in the 5K. So the build for the fall of 2024 actually started in January of 2024 with this new mindset. And our motto all last fall was embrace the imperfect, knowing that we crumbled when things weren't perfect in that national championship. And if you learn to embrace the imperfect and race through that or practice through that, good things are going to happen. And so having that mindset for the entire fall season, a different group of women showed up to the line knowing that, and things weren't perfect for us in 2024. It wasn't like everything just aligned. I mean, Lexi Halliday didn't run for 3 weeks prior to that race. We lost Jenna after the conference championship, and we were still able to absorb that and come out with a good outcome because of the mindset, because we had that embrace the imperfect mindset. And so it's important for all people in sport to understand that it doesn't have to be perfect for things to work out.
Well, and I got to imagine when you guys were in Madison during the NCAA championships, that was a nerve-wracking feeling the entire time because there was any team that day that really could have won a national title. I mean, you look at what West Virginia was able to accomplish this year, which of all teams, West Virginia, of course, and then Northern Arizona, who had that expectation of being that, that number one team coming in. And then, oh, by the way, you have a North Carolina State team that's trying to get back into winning a national championship. When you guys approached that meet in Madison, you know, do you just go tell your women, go run free, go do what we've been doing all season long, or or is everyone nervous? Like, what's it like when they're on the starting line, or for you as a coach, I guess?
Well, the nervous part for me was more about the unknown with Lexi. She couldn't stride out the day before, and so I was just hoping that she was going to be able to complete the race. The other focus wasn't on any of the other teams. Like we could have cared less what other teams were ranked to do or what they were hoping to do or what their goals were or what their training is. The most important thing we did is we cared about the BYU women. And we knew that if we focused and cared about the BYU women and we did our best, that regardless of what the final paper would say, we would be really pleased with the result. And that would have been redemption for us. Redemption for us was not winning a title. People look at the finish line images and they see all these tears and hugs, and people assume it's because we won a national championship, which partially could be that. But most importantly is we learned how to embrace the imperfect. And the redemption story was that when things weren't going well, we still fought through it. And we showed up to that line believing that we could be one of the teams that could have a chance at it. And in this sport, you have to show up to the starting line with that kind of faith.
There's different stories, and of course, there's two stories when it comes to those two national titles that your groups have won. You go back to the COVID year, and it's like what, maybe three races you guys had in that spring season, and it's like, okay, like yeah, we have an idea of where we're at as a team, but like we don't know if this was really the true potential of our game. So maybe that national championship may have not felt like, the real national championship. Whereas this fall, you guys bounce back, have some adversity throughout the season, and then when it all comes together towards the end, it's just like this emotional roller coaster feeling just finally sinks in, or however you want to say it. But like Do you see differences between those 2 seasons? Because I personally do, because it's 2 different things that happened, because you had COVID and you had this regular fall season.
Yeah, prior to that COVID, we were second, and Arkansas had won the year before, the 2019. So we went second for second. It was kind of a really good 3-year era for us.
Mhm.
And those women were hungry. They were grateful for a start line. When something gets taken away from you, you realize how much you really want it. And then as the starting lines get more available, I would say, and everyone just kind of is entitled to a starting line, you get a little nervous, right? There's more nerves. We were so grateful when we won that first one to just have the opportunity to race. And so this was different. But what I've also learned about my women is when they go through hard things, they come out the other side stronger. So I am excited when things don't go as planned. The COVID year was tough for a lot of teams. My women found a way to fight through it and build their confidence, still train hard, stay committed to the outcome, and show up as their best self. What 2023 taught us was the same thing. We can go through hard things and show up in 2024 as a better version of ourselves. And that's ultimately the goal, is how can we continue to show up every season as better versions of ourselves? And we're going to try to do that this year. This team looks completely different than last year's team. The leadership looks different. The freshmen look different. Everything about it is a new challenge, and I'm excited for that. And if we don't reap the benefits of the challenge this year, I feel confident that we will next year. So I'm excited for that.
But I mean, when you look at the fall and then, of course, Carmen Alder of all people stepping up, 207 places that she moved up from the 2023. I mean, you talk about, Lexi Holiday Lowry, stepping up when it mattered most, and you had no idea if she was going to be even racing that day. But the fact that Carmen found something towards the end of the season, it's like that was the difference maker right there. Because it was like a 17-point difference, I think, between
Yeah.
you guys and West Virginia. So was Carmen, do you feel like the ultimate outlier when it came to you guys winning this national title?
I think Carmen had the most improvement from a national championship perspective. You saw her in 2023 win pre-nats. That has
Mhm.
been there. That performance is there. But to be able to replicate that 2023 pre-nats performance at a national championship was yeah, it was exhilarating. We needed that. But more importantly, she fought a battle within herself to be able to shut down the voices that have maybe stopped her in the past on those big stages, to be able to fight through it. And so being an All-American or being top 20 or top 10 or top 15, for her, it was, she raced with belief that she belonged. And oftentimes the battle in the race is fought before the race. And I think sometimes we forget that, but she fought that battle all year long to be able to show up with this calm, confident approach. She fought that battle, that mental battle, before the race even started, and then proved to herself, I do belong and I can continue to be with my teammates and show up for the team. And, that was something I was extremely, extremely proud of, because you don't know as a coach if you're going to be able to see that breakthrough on a national stage.
And of course, a lot of them like showed up to the national meet for the very first time and had never had that experience. Nilo Roberts, of course, a freshman from Skyline down in Idaho. You throw her onto the start line, you have that confidence in her that she can go out there and do it. But there are a lot of women that that were in that race last year that had not had national championship race experience that you took away kind of like, yeah, like you guys stepped up when it mattered most and delivered.
Yeah, I was really proud of that effort. Neela Roberts was in the tent as women were walking to the starting line, putting their spikes on, and she was very emotional, just super nervous. And I knew in that moment, like, she's going to have a good race. She kind of feeds off of the nerves, where sometimes if someone's crying before a race, you're like, okay, this might not go that well. But with Neela, she's a gamer, and we know that about her in those moments. Even though
Mhm.
she's from a small town, she had a good showing at NXN. She's a fighter. She will deliver in a race. But all season, it was good race, medium race, good race. You just don't know what you're going to get. But when she's that nervous, she's able to channel something inside of her that that some women, it takes a long time for them to learn how to do that. And I was, again, I didn't know when it's someone's first time at the NCAA championship. I just knew she was going to perform to the best of her ability, but we needed her to do what she did for just that insurance piece. And I was proud of that. I'm excited to see what she does this year as a sophomore with some of that experience.
So again, cross country, great. Then this is the track and field season. We've already mentioned Lexi. We haven't even talked about Riley Chamberlain yet, and how great of a bounce back she had, especially after those NCAA outdoor championships throughout the remainder of this summer. And then Megan Hunter, her story is incredible. Coming from a car accident and not even knowing if she's going to be even running at all. Just you know, watching the track season kind of unfold, all these times running fast. Like, was it just fun just to be at practice every day with these women and just watch it kind of all unfold behind the scenes, but then also see it happen on the track?
I haven't even processed it because we're still training for Tokyo with Lexi, right? Like her season
Sure.
hasn't really concluded. And for some of these women, they've only been on a 3-week break because they competed at US championships. And so I haven't fully taken the time. Megan just competed at NACAC and, was fifth at US in outdoor meet. So close to making a team. I haven't really processed it yet. I need to journal and really kind of put into words what my feelings were, but it was a joy to show up to practice for those women every single day. They were excited to test the limits, and I was excited to test their limits. And so I've loved working with them. To watch Riley break 2 and run 4:02 flat in the 1500 at 20 years old, she just barely turned 21. That's been really fun, and I'm excited to build on that. The Swoosh TC track club that has started here in Provo a year ago has given us some excitement to know that these women are going to be able to continue to train here. And there's nothing I'm sacrificing in these women's long-term success for immediate gratification. So everything we're doing is building a foundation for their goals for the future and looking at the big picture. I'm really excited with what they accomplished this year. And like I said, I haven't really fully processed it, but I will take time probably after Tokyo to maybe take a second and just be proud of what we've done together and then make some new goals, because we're going to build on that and hopefully see an even greater result in years to come.
Well, this fall, just the second time in your career, your team is coming in as the reigning NCAA champions, but for the very first time, I believe, in program
Yeah.
history,
Oh,
you guys are unanimous number one in these preseason coaches polls, which I don't know how you feel about rankings, but I mean,
I hate.
unanimous is
Yeah.
that's where the stat nerd comes in. But it's the last time a preseason number one, of course, was 2021 when you guys finished when you guys won in the COVID season. Of course, that went on to finish second that following fall. But you are just the first team since the 2018 New Mexico team that has been named unanimous number one. Again, I know you don't necessarily like this, but like, why do you think the coaches out there believe that this BYU team can be really good this fall?
I think a lot of times the rankings are based on the previous year's result. And so without getting all of the information, look, we have no idea with the transfer portal and people coming in from the international scenes. We have no idea who's landing where and how they're showing up. And with September being when the world championships are, we have athletes that are going to be there. We don't know really who's going to show up. So I look at those with just a grain of salt. I mean, I hate rankings. I don't really care what people think we can do, if I'm being completely honest. And I don't like my women to get super wrapped up in them. I actually get upset when our social media teams repost, the rankings. And I know some people love that. It's great for your program. But I try to focus on what I think we can do rather than what people think we can do, and staying in the weeds. Like right now, we're in the weeds. We are back to the basics, and it's going to be a later build for us this year. I learned some things even from last year's fall. I want to be really focused on November and less even in pre-nats and conference championships. I want to put more emphasis on the latter part of the season. And so we're making some changes. This is the first time in my coaching career where we don't have a tempo at camp. We always do a little, time trial or tempo, but we're looking at this a little bit differently. And so you're not really going to see the BYU team in full force probably until the latter part of the season. And I hope we're one of the teams that's battling up in the front, but I don't pay much attention to rankings. I think it's great for our sport and again, great for recruiting, but at the end of the day, I will look at some key workouts later on in the season and really come up with a realistic goal for what I think we can do.
Well, what we do know is you have four women back from that national championship team in Riley Chamberlain, Taylor Rotinsky, Neela Roberts, and Taylor Lovell. So at least we know that. But you kind of fill in the role with Lexi being gone. You have Jenna filling into that position, especially as you mentioned, she was not able to finish the cross country season this last fall, but had a great outdoor season. So what's something you've seen from Jenna that you think could immediately transfer over into the cross country scene?
Our biggest focus is going to be being healthy. I think that that's so important, is just getting the timing right to be really healthy in November. And we haven't quite dialed that in with Jenna to just figure that out in the fall. And so hopefully this year we can do some things a little bit differently on the front end of the season so we can capitalize on her fitness in the back end. We know she's one of the best runners in the country. She's got great 5K, 10K range, which bodes well in cross country. So I'm looking forward to just keeping her healthy and focusing on the latter part of the season.
And I don't know if Tessa Buswell will contribute during the cross country season, but she's someone that I think, after what she did in the 800 in the DMR this last year, she's someone that, could contribute, especially in because 6K is me. I know 6K is way longer than an 800 meter, but there's some way where, I think Tessa Buswell can fit into this.
Yeah, we're not counting her out. I'm going to look at it these next couple weeks and kind of see where she stacks up with the new roster of 17. We have to be a little strategic. We have to declare our roster before the first meet, but we have to be strategic in who we put on that cross country roster. And I do think she's someone that can help us. I compare her in a way to Anna Camp. And Anna Camp, who had great 800 meter speed, really good 1500 meter runner, helped us in cross country. She was on teams that placed really high at the NCAA championship. And so if we can get Tessa, who was a state champion in California in cross country, if we can get her back to some of those distance routes, the course this year is not going to be super difficult, I don't think. So maybe someone with more speed can do well there, but that one will be let's take it a week at a time. She wants to be up there. So I'll say she wants to do cross country. And the funny thing is oftentimes the 800 runners fear cross country. Like they don't want any part of it, but she wants to contribute. She wants to help. So we'll see how this month goes for her.
Was Megan Hunter one of those athletes?
Yeah. And Megan didn't want anything to do with cross country other than she was here for the vibes. And I don't blame her.
So you mentioned the roster limits, which of course that's transpired everything at the NCAA level. It seems like the House versus NCAA settlement, of course, this within the last couple of months. What has that done for you as a coach to, kind of make those decisions? And I mean, I'm sure it's really tough decisions, like 17 women on a roster, all scholarship, like that's not a lot.
It's definitely different than what we've had in the past, but with our focus being predominantly on distance here at BYU, it's allowed us, we've got a good investment in our women's distance side, and we're going to continue to do that. It may look a little different. We may redshirt some people on the front end and get them ready for the 6K. So just have to be a little more strategic about it. Where in the past, you had free reign to kind of pull people whenever. And so, yeah, just going to take a little thinking on the front end. And I'm going to rely on freshmen this year. And the reality is I'm going to hope to rely on some freshmen. And maybe in the past we would have done that a little differently, but it's going to be good for them to get that experience and hopefully contribute.
This freshman class is a really special freshman class. I mean, of course, we can talk about the Jane Hedengren of the world, but we also want to mention, Zario Macchia, a multiple-time New York State champion and All-American in cross and track. But there's also, Boston Bybee, Jaylee Jenkins, Emerson Parks, River White, Annalise Packard. This is a really good class, and maybe might be the best class that you've brought in your 10 years that you've been at BYU. Just your thoughts on these women and what they're kind of going to be bringing to the table here in 2025.
Yeah, I was really proud of this class. I think we have a great combination of in-state versus out-of-state. Our our brand is built on mostly Utah runners, and occasionally we'll get some out-of-state talent. I'm excited about Zariel. It's a cool backstory. I coached her aunt and uncle in my first year at Cal State Stanislaus coaching, and so what a full circle moment to see Zariel coming into our program. I'm excited for that. And obviously her and Jane, I think leading the charge for the freshmen on the distance side will, it'll be crucial for us this year to see where they fit in. But again, we're going to take the whole month of September to kind of figure out what shape people are in and where they're best utilized, and really looking at the big trajectory for long term as well. Just want to make sure that everyone's healthy and in a good place.
And Jane's connection to BYU, of course, her dad is a professor at the university. Her brothers have ran within the BYU program. But I mean, this year as a whole, especially on the high school scene, it's been fun to watch, but it's been driven because of someone like Jane. I mean, 9 national records on the track and between cross as well. You and I saw each other at the Brian Clay Invitational when she ran 14:57, and I asked you what you thought about that, and you were obviously more focused on Lexi, which, of course, great, that's awesome. But now, if you process now that she's your athlete, and you look back at what she accomplished and kind of just changed the sport in a way, uh, just what are your thoughts on who you're bringing into this program? Because it's a very special talent.
Yeah, she's had a phenomenal, like you mentioned, 9 national records, phenomenal senior season. And what I want to replicate is for her to also have a phenomenal collegiate senior season. And so, looking
Mhm.
at the big picture, I want to make sure that we do everything right this freshman year to set her up for success later. She has big aspirations and goals beyond even collegiate running. And it's my job and my responsibility as a coach to make sure that we do it the right way. And that's something that I'm going to be really intentional about. But I want this to be very inspirational for young girls that are running really fast in high school to see what Jane does in college and know that they can do it as well. And oftentimes we don't see that happen, with high school phenoms. And I'm going to be really, like I said, intentional about making sure that we make sure that she has the best chance to be successful long term.
Which time impresses you the most? 14:57, 9:17, or 4:23, or 4:22, I should say.
It's a toss up. I think it's a toss up between the mile and the 5K. I mean, all of those times are so incredible, astounding. Matter
Mhm.
of fact, if you would have told me 5 years ago that someone in high school would run those times, I probably wouldn't have believed it. But what we've seen over the last 4 to 5 years, all of the times have gotten incredibly faster. But yeah, the 423, all of them, they were all impressive. I think 423 and 1457, you kind of assume that she's going to do that in the middle of those two races. So those two bookend races, I feel like, wow, that's such good range. And even just her 800 times, right? Great range all the way up. Sometimes it takes years to get the strength to be able to have that range at the 5K level, but also run 423 at the mile. So I think the two impressed me equally as much.
I would say the 917 and 80-degree weather in Seattle
Yes.
was by far the best thing that I've seen all season long. Of course, there's the 142 by the 16-year-old from Texas that's running at World. But do you think, I mean, is this someone that can contribute right away? I mean, that's what everyone wants to know is Jane someone that's going to contribute right away?
Every single woman on my team is contributing. And so if you're looking at where's she going to be, on the BYU women's lineup or in the NCAA, I can't answer those questions, but she's going to contribute because she's part of the sisterhood and she's going to come in
Mhm.
and bring, you know, whatever it is that she brings to practice every day and how she fits in. Again, I kind of talk to my women at the beginning of the week. That's like a puzzle for me as a coach, right? The season is a puzzle. I have no idea who's going to fit where. And oftentimes you kind of know who your top seven is, and maybe those move around just a little bit. But right now I have no idea where anyone is going to fit. And it's exciting. It's really fun. And Jane will be a contributor to our program. I'm not sure on anything bigger or deeper than that. You probably have to ask me in November, but yeah, she was a contributor to our program the minute she committed to BYU. So excited for what we can do with her.
Well, in the first race of the year last year, I remember when Neela Roberts had that huge race at the Autumn Classic. I'm like, oh, she's going to contribute right away. Like, it seems like she's going to be part of that top seven. So we might get an idea, maybe at the Autumn Classic, maybe we'll get maybe down the road the Cowboy Jamboree will be a better idea of where this team will be at. I'm looking ahead, the class of 2026. You're already bringing in a really good class with those three girls, particularly, Jane's teammate Lily Alder, which the Alder family seems like they have a really nice connection with the BYU program. As look at that class of 2026. I know we're looking far ahead. Like, is it nice to get three girls so far into that recruiting class?
Yeah, recruiting looks way different now. I feel like before you would wait until someone's senior year to get these commits, but now in the last 3 years, seems like juniors are making those commitments, which is great. It gives us a good idea of, predicting for the future where we're at and how we're going to allocate scholarships. But having those three, I think it's always good to solidify your big fire gun, just get a lot of firepower and then build around it. So that's good. We're already having a huge recruiting visit coming up next weekend, which seems crazy, to kind of look at the next class. And yeah, I'm looking forward to the future's bright. We're young and people probably don't see it that way, but I've got an inside scoop on where we're at. I think we're really young, and it's really exciting because when you have that youth and you're going to keep these women in your program for 4 to 5 years, very excited to where this group is going to end up.
2026 class, as I mentioned, Lily Alder, Addison Guyman, Macy Wingard, which I can imagine is going to be filling more and more as we get into this next year. But as I said, you guys are up in Park City right now. How have the first couple days been like? I saw you on your story yesterday. The women were running alongside some cows on the trails up there. But how's that been going for the first couple of days?
It's good. The vibe, I always go by the vibe. So the vibe is really good. We have a lot of good energy, new leaders stepping up in leadership roles, which is an exciting opportunity for them. So yeah, we were in Alaska last year and that was pretty magical. And Park City, the weather is great. We're getting some good running in. And again, no tempo. So I feel like the anxiety levels, right? These anxious feelings that sometimes happen when you have a tempo looming over you at the end of the week is not there. And we'll get to do a real test probably next week when we're back in Provo.
Say that first test would probably be the Autumn Classic, which your guys' outlook is going to be, of course, that home opener at the Autumn Classic. But then you have a couple national meets, Cowboy Jamboree, pre-nationals at Gans Creek, which of course is where the NCAA championships are this year. Then Big 12s in Kansas, and then Mountain Regions in your backyard. I know Salt Lake's probably maybe 2 hours away from Provo or so, but still, it's
One
it's
hour.
it's in your backyard. Yeah, 1 hour. So it's
Yeah.
in your backyard. So you like the schedule, and you're going all over the country: Stillwater, Missouri, Kansas. It kind of seems like you're hanging around in the Midwest a little bit more than going to the East Coast, which is a little bit different compared to like going to Madison or going to Virginia.
Yeah, it's a little, well, I like the Midwest. It's a little better travel for us. So that makes for an easy trip. And we were really looking for a meet at the end of September. I kind of time it based on the NCAA championship and how many weeks I want to go in between competitions. And so opening up, really our real opener is the Cowboy Jamboree. We're not going to see much at the Autumn Classic. Matter of fact, I probably won't put any freshmen in uniform there just to wait a couple more weeks. But then the Cowboy Jamboree, we should have a better idea where we're at and who we have, and then we just build from there.
So talking about the build up, by the time this season concludes and we're in Missouri, awards are given out, All Americans are given out. What do you want to what's the feeling you want from this year's group? As you mentioned, this is going to be one of the, I don't know, challenge is the right word, but it's going to be different for you. As you mentioned, you have a lot of freshmen, a lot of new faces, but you also do have some veteran leadership on this team as well.
Yeah, I'm going to look for team cohesion and making sure that team chemistry is good. Again, it's super important that we build that correctly now so that we can enhance it in years to come, and new pieces that get plugged in with next year's recruits and the following year's recruits, that they're coming into a program that has stayed true to the culture that they believe in, and they buy into the program. And so putting women on the line, if I put 7 women on the line, believing and having faith in the work that they've done and believing in the sisterhood, that for me is success.
You also are very busy this time of year because I assume you're going to Tokyo here pretty soon to go coaching Lexi over there at the World Championships. Just reflect on, what she has meant to this program. I feel like, year after year, she just keeps getting better and better. And this year in particular, as I mentioned, the NCAA championships were great, but to go win a U.S. title and then, second place was another collegian in Angelina Napoleon. So you've said it already. The collegiate aspect has stepped up its game. It's almost like a world championships in some degree. But do you think Lexi's ready for this big stage and ready to represent the Team USA?
Yeah, she's really excited. Her training has even leveled up from the US championship, so that's comforting to know that, we're kind of peaking at the right time. But it will be a good experience for her. She's happier than I've ever seen her, and I think that translates to good running. And we want to make sure that, yeah, we just keep her happy and healthy. And again, she wore the Nike kit for the very first time at the US final, and to go out there for your very first time as a true pro and clinch a US title, I think starting off in a good way. I'm sure there will be hardships that come in years to come as she navigates the pro life, but right now she's made the transition very smoothly. And I'm pretty confident that she has the opportunity to do something really special. Again, we don't want to put the cart before the horse. You always have to show up to that prelim, and step one is just going to be making the final. Right now, my focus is making sure that she's stays dialed in for these next 20 days, and also, building the confidence to really throw some workouts at her that she walks away feeling like, okay, I'm strong. I also have the speed, and I also have the confidence showing up to the line, knowing I can race any one of these women. We were lucky that we got to race at Prefontaine. So she was in that Diamond League. That gave her some global experience. But again, your first time, there's going to be some nerves and some unknown. And I like that. I think we can use the unknown and just be naive. Be naive and just show up and want to compete, and good things will happen.
I got a kick out of this as I was watching some interviews after the mix zone, and I'm sure this reminds you of something of the finger guns. You had supposedly you had lost your voice from coaching the first couple days, and you couldn't even talk or even or yell to communicate with Lexi. Uh, Finger guns. Tell us a little bit more about that. How that came about.
Well, after the first 2 days, so first of all, this US championship, I had the most number of athletes competing, which means a lot of yelling throughout all of the races. And so after day two, the voice was shaky. Like, it was cracking, and I woke up day 3 and it really was gone, which for me on race day, that's all I have, right? It's just the ability to yell. And so I just let them know through text message, like, hey guys, I don't have a voice. And so they look over quite often if they can in a race. They know where I'm stationed. And we sometimes have just like that nonverbal communication. But sometimes it's me yelling. And so I just let them know, like, you're not going to be able to hear me. So I was giving them different hand signals, like, you know, the thumbs up, and and anyways, so the guns meant like time to go.
It's time to go. It's
And
time
I
to go. It's
used them.
time.
Yeah, I used them, which ended up being kind of a funny story afterwards, right?
Yeah, no, I mean, like I said, I saw the interview and I saw that Lexi was talking about it, and our one of our writers was writing about it in our recap, and I was like, oh, that's really interesting. I mean, did you come up with the hand signals, or was it the women? Like, was it kind of a cohesion type thing?
Well, I texted them that morning and just said, hey, FYI, my voice is gone. I'm going to have to use hand signals. So I was telling them thumbs up, and they gave me a different hand signal to use that meant like go. And I can't use that hand signal. And so I'll leave it at that. So I added, I was like, I'll do the guns. That I can do. So yeah, that's how it came up. And it was kind of a joke, to be honest. But in the moment, I used the guns and it was good.
Where were you at on the track?
I'm usually at that last steeple barrier on the home stretch. That's where I stand for the
Mhm.
steeple.
Yeah. So when did you give the signal?
Well, she came by and I think it was like almost 800 to go, and I just gave the thumbs up because I felt like, okay, we're going a good pace. You're okay. And then
Mhm.
the next lap, I gave the guns and she took
Yeah.
off.
Were you pretty confident in the fact that she could get the job done?
Yeah, she had done a tag 800 and closed at altitude in like a 202. And so I knew the closing speed was there. I know. So I felt confident that if she was in it with, you know, whatever to go, that she would be able to have a good finish.
Were you wearing your sunglasses and a hat and just sitting there like
I know someone should have got a picture. Someone should have got a picture of that. But
that's kind of how I envision it happening. Like you're just kind of in incognito a little bit. You're just like zoned in, and then you're just like
yeah, no,
I feel like
it probably wasn't like a very calm gun. If I know my coaching style, I was probably really frantic and I still was yelling. It took me a week after USA's to even fully get my voice back. It was struggling. So yeah, that was fun. It was a fun way to end the US championships with that win.
well, you got 2 rounds to make sure you have a voice, God willing, hopefully, that she makes the final, but as I mentioned, as we're trying to wrap things up here, you've had a lot of, fun things you've done this last year. I mean, there's Paris, there's these national championships, there's Paris again to be at the Faith Kipyegon, sub-4-minute mile attempt. I'm gonna challenge you. I'm gonna ask you your 3 favorite moments from this last year. It could be anything from Stade de France all the way up to where we're at right now.
Oh wow. So I would have to say having two women in the Olympic finals, um, that that was really neat, coupled with being able to watch my boys fly out to Paris and also witness that. So that experience was pretty special and will be memorable for me forever and ever. Um, then it gets really tough. I mean, I can't. Obviously, Lexi winning the U.S. championships, that's good. I don't know. There were too many. I mean, every single moment there were too many. Megan running 158 for her first time to break two was a really special moment. Our team winning the national championship, coming back winning the DMR. There were too many good things. I think in a normal year, I could easily pluck out three of my favorite moments. That this year that would be unfair to some of the great performances that I was able to witness. And I know I will not have another year like 2024. I want to cherish all of those moments and yeah, and you know, was super proud. Like this is an exciting time for me to be a coach, and I feel so privileged in these opportunities that I get, and I want to stay humble in in all that I do, but I think there's a lot of room for humility, but still a high level of pride, and that's what I feel when I think about what these women have built with me here at BYU and post-collegiately as well is just a lot of pride, but also still a great amount of humility.
Well, you got to start the new decade off in this coaching tenure off to a good start here. You got to get something going here in 2025. But again, as we both talked about, it was really an incredible dream seasons. I say seasons intentionally because it was cross indoor and outdoor, and there was just so many things to pick from, and I don't see it slowing any down anytime soon. So, Diljeet, really appreciate your time hopping on here and taking the time out of your week during your guys' pre-camp before the actual season gets going here. Of course, BYU will open up their season at the Autumn Classic, but it sounds like the Cowboy Jamboree is when we'll really get an idea of what this team will look like here in a couple weeks. So again, appreciate your time. Best of luck in Tokyo too. Best of luck to Lexi as you guys gear up for the World Championships. As I said, appreciate your time. Good luck this cross country season.
Thank you so much.